Welcome to the My Virtual Change Manager Change Management Overview series. Today what we're talking about is what is exactly change management. I'm going to provide you with an overview of change management for your business. So I'm guessing you are here because you might be a project manager who wants to better understand change management. You are a business lead who delivers projects, and once again you might want to understand more about change management and the words and terminology that change managers use. You may be a change leader and wanting to improve your own ability to lead change within your organization. You just might be interested in exploring change management to see if you want to get into that industry and field and see what it's all about. So let's talk about why change management. Now, in, I guess, the not so old days, because it currently is still happening in organizations, the real focus for projects has been about delivery. So success has really been defined about if you've delivered the project on time and within budget. However, over time, what was being felt is a bit of a dump and run methodology. So a bit of I deliver the project and then we move on to the next thing. And that hasn't been sitting well with organizations or with people in the organizations who are really saying, I think we can do this differently. It created some problems. So solutions would be delivered that wouldn't work for the end user because they weren't involved in building it in the first place. Teams who were to use the product or change the way they work were told at the last minute. So they spent the next couple of months working out the changes for themselves. Managers were left with a mess and arguing with the project team about why they weren't consulted about solutions or training. And staff would be trained and then left to have to wing it with the user guides post go live. I've seen all of those scenarios take place. I've come into organizations after they have taken place and where I've had to pick up the pieces, improve the processes and put structure in place. So these problems aren't uncommon, but they can be solved. In organizations that have started to introduce change management, the story has started to shift. So it's not just about delivery, but it's also about engagement. Now that has obviously meant that there's more than just a project manager working on projects. Change managers come into the organisation, or someone who's had the appropriate skill set has been involved in the project. And that has meant that there's more than one parameter in which success has been defined. So it's not just about delivery, but it's also about engagement. And that has resulted in levels of improved success. Businesses have achieved improved benefits. The change has been supported and embedded well over time. So there's earlier engagement, more consultation, earlier communication, and that communication has really been tailored to each audience dependent upon the way they've been impacted. And the time to embed and reinforce has been shortened. So what is change management? In its essence, it is the creation and implementation of a plan to move an individual, team, and or organisation from a defined current state to a defined future state. And you'll notice that I've actually put in there the word defined and I've italicized it, and I have highlighted it because it is really critical to understand when you're looking at the current state, you're not just looking at theoretically how the organisation should work, but the reality of how the organisation is working. And then the defined future state is something that you really need clarity on around exactly what are we delivering so that you can assess the impacts. There are two levels of change that take place. Operational change, so that's modification to an existing process, system, policy, or an alteration to an existing product or service. This is quite a common form of change where people are understanding the use of change in projects. And then there is transformational change. So this is changing the fundamental way an organisation functions. So if you're changing the structure, if you're changing the core processes in an organisation, so you might be moving from a manual process to an automated via IT, these are the things that create a transformational level of change. And just to touch on transformation, for transformation programs, you're looking at delivery, you're looking at change and culture strategy, and then obviously you're implementing these strategies. So you are needing a bigger team because you're looking at the whole organisation from top to bottom, and you're looking at aligning all of the messaging, all of the values, the strategy and the structure from top down. So essentially from the chief executive through to the front line. And success is defined by how well you're looking at keeping the project and program on track, the organisation synergy, so ensuring that systems have changed, dashboards have changed, monitoring and reinforcement has changed at its very core, and that all of the staff have been engaged on the journey. That is the definition of success in a transformation program. You obviously get massive results from putting a change strategy around a transformation program. You do that in less time, so it takes less time for the organisation to actually achieve its future state. And it's a sustainable and measurable change, which is the epitome of what you want to achieve when you're working on a transformation program. So let's just focus on the why for change management. You actually should get a performance improvement when it comes to really robust and effective change management, because it values people in the delivery of projects and it supports employee engagement. And that really results in improved productivity. So you get a better level of engagement from your employees for the organisation if you're putting change practices in place. It's an efficient process. So it's all about better and faster adoption of change in a shorter time frame. It's about cost savings. So you do not need to do rework. I have come into organisations which haven't had any sort of change structure around it, and I'm cleaning up, quite frankly, a mess, because people haven't been engaged, people haven't been consulted, everyone's disgruntled, and the negativity attached to the projects they've had to pick up has taken a while to transform into a real positive as a result of the issues that have been created through non-engagement. And time savings, so you get a faster return on investment, and who wouldn't want that, right? So in my Virtual Change Manager, we have put together 4 fundamental principles that we always like to apply to change management because they contribute to the effectiveness of the programs and projects. The first is emotional intelligence, so understanding how people respond to change and being able to lead through change. It is an emerging skill that people are now consciously understanding, and certainly when I say people, managers as well as staff. Staff have the need for managers to lead well through change, and managers starting to understand that they need to really expand into the world of emotional intelligence, understand themselves better, to be able to assist and support their staff through change in a better way. Effectiveness, so making sure the solution is fit for purpose by putting the end user front and centre in the design process is really key. So the human-centred design factor that's now coming in, and practice that's started to come in to solution design, is fantastic because it's making solutions more effective. It's what the client wants, it's what the end user wants, and therefore it's easier for them to adopt the solution. Engagement, really critical to ensure that impacted individuals and teams are engaged throughout the entire project process. And efficiency, so creating the shortest time frame for adoption and benefit realization. And I'm all about efficiency, the shortest time frame between A and B in an effective way with some fantastic change leadership and strong engagement is going to get the best solution, best outcomes. So let's cover off at a high level the 4 stages of change management. So this first stage is planning. The second is assess and design. The third is implement and reinforce. And the fourth is review and learn. And change management is a process, and it can be aligned to project management. We do have in the Change Management Overview series for our members how project management and change management lines up. So it's worth checking that out. Let's quickly have a look at planning. So the intention for planning is all about creating clarity for the organisation as well as for individuals. So this is about answering the following questions. Is this an operational change or a transformation? What's the vision? The why is critical. You're covering off at this stage who's impacted, how they're impacted, when are they impacted, who should be the voice of the change, who's in your virtual change team. So you may not have change resource particularly allocated, but understanding who from a change perspective needs to be engaged is critical. and engaging key stakeholders. Some of the outputs, the examples I've put there are from a typical project methodology, that this is what a change manager would produce at this stage. Stage 2 is assess and design, and this is really where you get into the detail, and you want to get into the detail. If you have a change manager who simply wants to stay at the high level, then that's not who you need. You need someone who's wanting to get into the detail, because you will get the best outcome as a result of that. And the devil, as we say, the devil is definitely in the detail. So doing an impact assessment, as a result of that impact assessment, you're going to have a detailed change and comms plan created as part of that. You're at this stage looking at what channels and interventions are available within the organisation. You're kind of testing your messages, seeing what's working, what isn't. Once again, you're answering the question about who should deliver the change, who should be part of your change or project team to support the change and reinforcement, and how are you going to measure the change. And measurements are really critical, and timing is everything when it comes to change. Implement and reinforce. So this is very much about being flexible and responding. So at this stage, the change manager is executing on their plans. So they've had them signed off, they've had them agreed to. There would be engagement, absolutely, at this stage. You'll be gathering feedback at this stage, adjusting your approach where you need to. Sometimes things don't work. Sometimes things can get quite jarring for individuals, depending on how long it's taken to actually get to a go-live stage. So you need to take all those factors into account. The change manager at this stage is delivering change dashboards, so monitoring, reinforcing, and working to their changing comms calendar, which could be changing depending upon the feedback they're getting. And the last stage is all about review and learn. So this is very much about continual improvement, evaluating, reviewing, collecting feedback, looking at benefits, and the output as a result of this is the post-implementation review and the summary report, and that feeds into the overall project or program review or report. It is different. It is really looking at the behavioural change, the things that worked, things that didn't work, things that they would change for a similar release, or new approaches they would take for a different release. So they're the 4 stages. I just want to cover off again the why of change management. We talked about that regarding performance improvement, efficiency, effectiveness, faster adoption, so cost savings, and making sure that solutions are suitable for end users. The 4 E's of change, those 4 principles, really important and key to bear in mind. They are really important skill sets, being able to effectively engage people, to really look at human-centered design, make sure our solutions are as fit for purpose as they can be, as well as innovative, looking at the benefits within a shorter period of time through adoption, and looking at how change leaders can really look at their emotional intelligence in relation to leading change. And we've provided an overview of the 4 stages of change. That's a very simplified, high-level process. If you want to know more, please come and visit us at myvirtualchangemanager.com. We have tools for project managers, for change professionals, if you're a business lead implementing change in your organisation, if you're in one of our change partner areas, so HR, L&D or communications, please join us, have a look at what tools we have available. If you're a change leader and you want to develop your capability, jump on the site, have a look. We do online skill development, we've got member forums, we've got tools and frameworks, we hold webinars, and we do virtual coaching and support for organisations who want to develop change management within their organisation. We can support you, absolutely. We do this because we know that people matter and that people in your organisation have massive potential, and that through change management you can recognise that, respect that and unlock their potential. We're a passionate, progressive, practical organisation, so we're really looking at tools that work in your day-to-day. Anyway, come and check it out. It would be great to have a chat with you, and have a great day.